Hey everybody, I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review, and I'm back with a review of last night's episode of The Walking Dead. This is The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 13, called Chokepoint. Chokepoint. It's a very aptly named title for this episode of The Walking Dead, because it finds Daryl and Connie and Henry and Lydia on the run from the Walkers, and they end up deciding to make a stand. Not the Walkers, the Whisperers, and they end up deciding to make a stand against the Whisperers, and they do so in a building where they're able to kind of funnel the Whisperers into a tight spot, force the Whisperers to go up, and this will weed out the Walkers from the Whisperers, and so they know that whoever they're fighting now is going to be Whispers. So that's why it's called Choke Point, because they're choking those Walkers out and forcing the Whispers to go at it without the Walkers. There's also a side story with Ezekiel and Carol and Jerry, where they meet with a group called the Highwaymen. It's basically a group of pirates, and the Highwaymen demand bounty for the right to use the roads. And the Highwaymen have amassed a big enough of a group that they're able to make these that they're able to make these demands. So Jerry and Carol and King Ezekiel, they discuss on whether or not they're just going to take these people out, or whether they're going to reach out to them and try to recruit them to their cause. And they decide, hey, let's try diplomacy first, and let's try to reach out. So those are the two storylines that kind of run next to each other. I'm going to tell you the good, the stuff that I liked. I'm going to tell you the bad, the stuff that I didn't like. And then I'm going to tell you whether or not I liked the episode. So the good. Daryl versus Beta. That's right, we got our first big fight of this half season. Daryl versus Beta. Beta is, like I said last time, he's a force of nature. He's a being to be reckoned with, and that was very evident in this fight. Daryl and Connie and Henry, they're able to kind of dispatch all the Whisperers except for Beta. And Henry gets injured, so he's not able to help against Beta, and Connie and Lydia are seeing to Henry. So it's Daryl against Beta, and it's a good fight. That's a fight that lasts several minutes, and it does not end with either of their deaths, but it does end with a clear victor. And I think most people will be happy on who that victor is. But Beta is a force, and he's not done yet. And I'm sure that he has vengeance on his mind. He has payback on his mind after this episode. Another thing that I liked, young love in the apocalypse. You know what? A lot of people cringe at the Henry-Lydia romance. I love it, Adolescent love makes young people do stupid things. And we're seeing that with Henry. Henry's making a lot of very bad decisions based on the fact that he has some very real feelings. And let's face it, that would happen in a real environment like this. You would have adolescent young males making stupid decisions based off of courting their crush. It would just happen. So I like the fact that they're taking that approach to it. I still kind of wish that this was Carl's story instead of Henry's, but it is what it is. I like the fact that they're taking that approach. Henry's making some stupid decisions, and he's still making stupid decisions. And he's got these pipe dreams. Let's run away together. It's a big world. He's got pipe dreams that aren't realistic. And Daryl knows they're not realistic, but I'm sure that Daryl has been through the young love thing himself. So yeah, young love in the apocalypse. I still like the Lydia character. I think she's very layered, very complex, and I think that's still playing out. Henry, I could go either way on Henry, but Lydia is a really strong character. And the young love in the apocalypse, I'm feeling it. I think it's a good storyline, and it adds another layer to this season of The Walking Dead, which is turning out to be very good. Also, more potential love in the apocalypse. Daryl and Connie. I'm feeling that too. You know what? I think that Daryl is consistently impressed with her skills, and I think that she's consistently impressed with Daryl. I think we're going to see a romance here. They're both attractive people. They're both very skilled. They have a lot of the same I guess, interest, if you count killing walkers and surviving the apocalypse in interest. They both have a lot of the same goals, anyways. So I see it happening. I see it happening. Dog. I like Dog. You know, when he put Dog with Lydia and said, if anybody comes through that door, he'll take him down. We saw Dog in action this episode. So, not quite Shiva yet. By the way, I love the Shiva callback in this episode. Not quite Shiva yet as far as an animal that I'm rooting for, but Dog is very good. And a surprise character that I really liked, Earl. I thought Earl was great in this episode. His wife has a baby that they're trying to find somebody to take, and Earl is defending that baby and defending his wife with his life. He's putting his life on the line to defend them. He's willing to jump on that grenade and sacrifice himself so they can get away. And he ends up surviving, and that's wonderful. This was a great character moment for Earl. This was a great episode for Earl. We've seen a little bit of him throughout the course of the series, and he hasn't always been the most flattering character, but this episode did a lot for Earl, which makes me wonder if Earl's time on this show is now short-lived. They're going to build him up to being a character, so maybe his proverbial head can end up on a proverbial pike. We'll see. But I liked Earl. The bad. The Highwaymen, yeah, I wasn't really feeling them, didn't really see how necessary they were. Maybe we'll see a bigger arc for them in coming episodes, but it just felt like it was an opportunity for the King and for Carol to show some diplomacy, and, I was whatever on them. I was like, whatever. If we keep having small groups pop up, hopefully we can see some continuation of, hey, let's recruit them into our cause. We are all in this together. Let's stop fighting and let's recruit them into the cause. And that's what happened here. I mean, there was never going to be a big fight here. And, it was obvious. So the Highwaymen, I was just kind of, eh. And, of course, The Walking Dead has a habit of doing this. There was no Negan, no Judith in this episode. The Walking Dead just has a habit of completely focusing on certain groups of characters at a single time, and that's sometimes to the expense of the more interesting characters. And I'm more interested in Negan's story than Ezekiel's story. It is what it is, right? I feel like they're building up Ezekiel's story because Ezekiel's story is closely tied to the fair, and I think we're going to see some things happen to Ezekiel that are significant. But I miss Negan. I miss Judith. I missed them because they are the story that I'm most interested in this season, and we didn't get any of it. So, again, The Walking Dead has a habit of doing that, and it's oftentimes at the expense of characters that I love. So, it is what it is. Overall, I recommend this episode just for the Daryl Beta fight at the end. If it wasn't for the Daryl Beta fight at the end, this episode would not have been recommended. Other than that, it was a lot of filler. How long are we going to talk about getting to this fair? Let's get the fair. I know the fair is going to be the last episode of this season. I just have a strong suspicion that the fair is going to be the last episode of the season. And then, what happened in the comics? Wink, wink. Is what's going to happen here. So we'll just see how that all plays out. But taking a long time to get through a short amount of exposition. Just to draw it out and get to that, so that fair can be the last episode. I missed Negan, I missed Judith, but the Daryl Beta fight made this episode worth sitting through. So that's my 2 cents anyways. What do you think of this episode of The Walking Dead? Do you think The Walking Dead is back on track? Let me know down in the comments below. I am LQ. This is the LQ Review. As always, thank you for joining me right here where we get to talk about all the nerdy, all the geeky stuff that we love to talk about. And until next time, thanks.